It's morphin' time. Pterodactyl.
Hi there, this is Datila with Rangers of Wrestling, bringing you the Wrestling Time post show. And for tonight, I will be reviewing Impact Wrestling. Alright, so tonight's show was the fallout from Sacrifice, and it kicked off with the returning walking weapon, Josh Alexander. So he said that it feels so good to be back in Impact Wrestling, and that he's been obsessed since Bound for Glory getting his revenge on Moose and getting his hands on the Impact World title. Now, okay, I'm going to stop right there. If you guys have not been watching Impact, or you just started watching Impact, you have no idea what they're talking about, Josh Alexander defeated Christian Cage for the Impact World title at Bound for Glory. And then Moose called his shot and stole, well, actually, I shouldn't say stole, robbed Josh Alexander of his moment. And he did it in front of his family. Talk about ultimate heel move. All right. So he said that he was given obstacle after obstacle was put in his way, and it boiled up until he was sent home. So he had to face Minoru Suzuki, Jonah, Charlie Haas, and even Connor, my bad, Connor from Fort of the Ascension. He said he had to come to terms with the fact that he may not be able to get his hands on Moose on the Impact World title. And his 7-year-old son, Lucas, who, by the way, was in the ring when Moose called shot, would ask him when he was going to get his hands on Moose and when he was going to get his hands on the world title. I apologize for the ambulance. So then he said that on April 23rd, 2022 at Rebellion, in the main event, it will be Moose versus Josh Alexander for the Impact World title. And this has been waiting to happen since October 2021. And it's about time Josh Alexander gets his hands on Moose. But before he could continue, Honor No More comes out, minus PCO, who suffered an injury against Jonah. I'm not surprised he did. I mean, that match was brutal. Eddie Edwards says that tells Josh Alexander that it must be nice to be back home. He says that he will stay there all damn night until he gets what he wants and gets to say what he wants. He said he's got time and he ain't going nowhere. And he said that it was nice of Josh to give his son a sweet memory. But he questions if Josh Alexander is going to tell his son the truth that Josh was handed everything, the keys to the castle, and says that Josh should tell Lucas that. And basically, Josh Alexander tells Eddie Edwards to not say his son's name again. And yeah, you don't mess with the man's family. He said that the Exhibition Championship meant the world to him, and he risked it all for the fans, the company. And that Eddie Edwards got his shot at Turning Point and failed to get the title. So I'm going to stop right there. So the reason why Eddie Edwards turned heel, it was because he says that Impact turned their backs on him. Yes, Eddie Edwards got a shot, I apologize, at the title, but he got the shot at the title when it was Moose. He still didn't get a chance to bring the title home. So I just wanted to clear that up before people question, well, if Eddie got a title shot, why did he turn heel? That's why. Because it was against Moose, not against Kenny Omega. So then Matt Taven steps in and tells Josh Alexander to not talk to Eddie like that. And then Matt Taven says that when he was champion, his reign never ended prematurely or in front of his wife. Josh Alexander is quick to fire back and says that when Taven was champion, the company went out of business. Ouch. He says he's had several obstacles and he proceeds to name them. Like I said earlier, it was Minoru Suzuki, Jonah, Charlie Haas. I don't know why he didn't mention Connor of the Ascension, formerly of the Ascension, I should say. And he questions what's 6 more. So then Honor No More goes after Josh. And then all Team Impact comes out to help. Chaos break loose. Scott Moore says that he heard Eddie loud and clear and is going to hand Eddie Edwards an opportunity against Rich Swann. Everyone, especially Honor No More, is banned from ringside all night long. So to me, it seems like they're setting up Eddie Edwards to be Josh Alexander's heel. So that's probably going to be Josh Alexander's first rivalry after he wins the Impact World title at Rebellion. Well, I'm assuming he's going to win, unless I'm wrong. I don't think I am. So after that chaos, we get into Kenny King versus Willie Mack. This was a good match, really good match. One of the things that I like, and I think that the ref got tired of dealing with Honor No More's crap, that I don't know if this was accidental or intentional, but Kenny King tried to, I guess, like he tried to jump on Willie Mack, and Willie Mack turned around and gave Kenny King a little blow with his knee, and yet it was no disqualification. So I don't know if that was intentional or if it was an accident, but the point is the match continued, and eventually you get a stunner to Kenny King and a 6-star frog splash, and Willie Mack is victorious. So, Team Impact is still dealing with Honor No More. And then next week, we're going to get Rhino versus Steve Macklin. That should be interesting because remember, Steve Macklin is the reason Honor No More won at Sacrifice. So then we get a Moose segment. Who says that he questioned why Scott Moore isn't punishing Josh Alexander. And Scott Moore tells Moose that he knows him very well, and he knows those things drive him crazy. And he starts to tell Moose that maybe it was all a part of the plan, that maybe he wanted Josh to get sent home because he knew he'd be close to the Anthem offices. Maybe Scott Moore was there. So Scott Moore hands Moose a contract in an envelope. I don't know why he did that for Moose, but he couldn't do that for W. Morrissey. Anywho, Moose asks about why he's not getting a formal in-ring contract. And Scott Moore tells him he doesn't think that's a really good idea, especially since Josh Alexander wants to get his hands on him. And he tells Moose he's got a week to sign the contract. At least he'd be stripped of the title. Now, let me just say something here. There is no way they're stripping Moose of the title. He's going to sign that contract, and I'll tell you why. That Moose versus Josh Alexander has been building since Bound for Glory. There's no way they're not going to do that match at Rebellion. There's no way. They're doing that match. So no chance that Moose is getting stripped of that title. So next we had John Skylar versus Ace Austin versus Crazy Steve, which was a triple threat qualifying match to be a part of the X Division triple threat match at Rebellion. So this was a good match. I always enjoy X Division matches. Ace Austin was great. John Skylar was good too. Crazy Steve was also good. Trey Miguel was on commentary. So on commentary, they did mention Jake Something, who had a great match against Trey Miguel. He looked very dominant, very strong. But I believe he's no longer with the company. Let me pull up the article. Yeah. So he's no up. Yeah. All right. So Fightful Select reported that Jake Something is done with Impact Wrestling. His deal was up at the end of February, and he had one outstanding day remaining on the contract. And he said despite the deal being set to expire, Impact put him in a top spot in the X Division title match for Sacrifice, which was slated to be his last day with the company as of now. So we're told that as of this moment, no deal has been reached, and he isn't scheduled to be part of the television taping. So that sucks. I like Jake Something. He had one hell of a match against Trey Miguel, but hopefully he comes back. So Ace Austin ends up winning this match. I'm not surprised because Ace Austin and Trey Miguel have history. But I have to say, I like the ending segment. There was like a bell clap to Ace Austin by Crazy Steve, and then Crazy Steve beat John Skylar's head or face. That allowed Ace Austin to capitalize and pick up the win. So then I noticed tonight's show was a lot of segments. I think there was only like 3 or 4 matches in total, and then a whole bunch of segments in between. Alrighty, so then we had Bhunpinder Gujjar segment, who has beat John Skylar twice, and he says he's not here for handouts and has heard every single thing in his life, including this opportunity. Raj Singh comes out and just kind of questions why he is not taking his phone calls. He says he didn't mean to offend Gujjar. Larry D, who's no longer with Impact Wrestling, also comes out, surprise, surprise, and says that he questions why he's not allowed to be there. He knows he doesn't work in there, but he is in the area and they are in the area. So Raj interrupts and Larry D punches Raj. Ouch, that looked like it hurt. Gujjar saves Raj and then Raj tells him that's why they need to be on the same team. So then after this, we had a Violent by Design segment, who basically says that power and control was something the Good Brothers had, and that they had because Violent by Design was watching their backs. And Eric Young says that the reason the Good Brothers had the titles for as long as they did was because of them. And Violent by Design tells the Good Brothers they wanted a shot at the tag titles, and they question, was it a mistake? Was it an accident? Was it faith? Was it by luck? Or was it all part of the design? So now that Violent by Design are the tag team champions, I don't know where we go from here. There's so many questions that need to be answered because, like, what's going to happen with the Goddess of Destiny? I'm pretty sure they still want to get their hands on Jay White for kicking them out. So then next you get the 8 Knockouts tag team title match. It's on one side we have the Influence, the new Knockouts tag team champions, the Influence, the new Knockouts champion Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans versus the Inspiration, Mickie James and Chelsea Green. Okay, so the talking point of this match, what you need to know about this match is that Chelsea Green, according to commentary, is medically cleared to compete. But Mickie James doesn't want Chelsea Green to compete because, she messed up her wrist. And so throughout the whole match, Chelsea Green doesn't compete, but she does give Caleb a low blow. And in the end, the team of the Inspiration, Mickie James and Chelsea Green, is victorious. So the fact that commentary says that she's allowed to medically compete, but didn't compete in this match, makes me kind of think that they're going to turn her heel. I mean, her husband, Matt Cardona, or as most like to call him, Mid Cardona, is already heel. So is she going to join him? I guess we have to wait and see. I mean, she's probably upset that she didn't get an opportunity to wrestle for the Knockouts title. So she might turn heel on Mickie and blame her for being the reason she didn't get that opportunity. So we'll see. We shall see. But if she does turn heel, you heard it here first. So then afterwards, we get a Jonah segment. Who says that people call PCO a monster, the French-Canadian Frankenstein, and PCO is inhuman. He says he doesn't have nightmares because he fears nothing. He doesn't believe in monsters. Monsters believe in him. And at Sacrifice, the top dog showed that PCO is human. Yeah, that was one hell of a match. If you guys did not watch Sacrifice, PCO versus Jonah was insane. I mean, how the hell PCO was able to stand up after Jonah power bombed him onto the floor, and then using those steel steps, like, my God, PCO was unreal. He was able to walk away. No ordinary man would walk away from all of that. No, you guys, if you haven't seen that match, you need to see it. All right, so then we had the Bullet Club segment. Now I have to warn you guys, this segment is really, really long, like really long. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably like 6 paragraphs or small paragraphs, but this segment is really long, so just kind of bear with me. I'm going to just try to get the gist of everything so that I'm not sitting here like talking about this. But okay, so basically the Bullet Club comes out, and it's Jay White, Chris Bay, and the Good Brothers. Okay, so Doc Gallows basically says that they're walking around a little lighter because they don't have the Impact World Tag titles. He says you're not there for fun, to promote Talk and Shop, and they basically put the tag team division on notice. And they send a warning to the Briscoes, who they are facing at WrestleCon in the Multiverse of Madness match, invited by Design, to basically watch their backs. And they said they have sold out arenas and have won gold on every continent except Antarctica because it ain't got wrestling, which I thought was hilarious. Imagine wrestling in Antarctica. What are you going to wrestle, a polar bear? That'd be hilarious. But I don't think anybody would have imagined Antarctica. It's really cold down there. Okay. So then it goes over to Jay White, who basically says that the Good Brothers handled their business and Jay White handled his business. And he beat Alex Shelley, who was his old mentor, the man he had his debut match against in New Japan in 2005, which is a match Alex Shelley won. The man who taught him the most. And then Alex Shelley comes out and says that he wanted to come back against the best wrestler in the world. And he says that Alex Shelley failed, and maybe Shelley could too sweet him. So when Shelley comes out, he calls him Jamie, not Jay. He says Jay White's real name is Jamie. He says that to him, he'll always be Jamie, the guy that lived with him. But he's going to give him credit where credit is due. He says he's got no regrets about his performance at Sacrifice because they went toe-to-toe for 20 minutes and they went to war. And I have to say that, to me, was match of the night. You guys also need to see Jay White versus Alex Shelley at Sacrifice. Match of the night, if you ask me. But basically, the point that Alex Shelley's trying to make is that because he knew Jay White before he became Jay White, and he thought that Jay White wouldn't disrespect him, and that it hurts knowing that Jay White didn't shake his hand, and he thought, yeah, like I said, Jay White wouldn't disrespect him. Jay White says that that's Alex Shelley's fault for making it personal, and he says it's just business. And says that Shelley doesn't know him anymore, that he's the last rock and roller, he's King Switchblade, he's the leader of the Bullet Club, the real leader of the Bullet Club, he's sold out Madison Square Garden, he's the Cadillac of pro wrestling. He says that everything that happens in pro wrestling is because of him. And then he says Alex Shelley says he's the king of a generation. And this is that when he tells Jay White that when he goes back to New Japan he tells him that when he goes back to New Japan, he says the Rainmaker has his fingerprints all over him. And when he goes back to AEW, the company the Young Bucks started, his fingerprints are on them. And he calls him little brother, that he happened because of him. The gist of this segment is that basically at the end, the Motor City Machine Guns reunite because Alex Shelley, so when he's in Impact Wrestling, he's never alone. And they challenge Jay White and Chris Bay to a tag match next week. So I'm actually pretty excited because this is the first time in, I believe, in 2 years that we're going to get the Motor City Machine Guns on Impact Wrestling. So that should be a great match. Wow. This, like I said, really long segment. So then we get Josh Alexander again, who says he wants to be in the match because Eddie Edwards wants to put his hands on him. And Scott D'Amore says that Matt Taven versus Josh is going to be the main event next week. But Scott D'Amore just wants Josh to focus on this. That's the gist of this. That's all that happened. We get a Deonna Purrazzo segment who says that she had a momentary lapse of judgment when she showed mercy to Chelsea Green and says that's never going to happen again. And basically says that Chelsea Green knows better than anybody the risk involved in stepping into the ring with Deonna. And she is the queen of the Fuji armbar specialist and breaks arms. Then she's interrupted by none other than the quintessential diva Giselle Shaw, who wants gold and silver. Then Lady Frost comes and says that she beat Giselle Shaw, and Deonna gets annoyed with both of them and basically is putting both titles on the line in the triple threat match next week. So I'm so excited for that because you guys know Deonna Purrazzo has been having champ challenges and she's won every single time. So I'm curious to see who she's going to pin. Giselle Shaw just has her first loss against Lady Frost. So they have one victory over each other. So the question is, who eats the pin in this, Giselle Shaw or Lady Frost? Um, I think maybe poor Lady Frost. I like Lady Frost. And I'm starting to like Giselle Shaw, but Giselle Shaw's still pretty new, so it doesn't make sense for Giselle Shaw to eat the pin. That's just me. So then in our main event, we get Eddie Edwards versus Rich Swann. This is a good match. One hell of a match, I have to say. And according to commentary, this is the first ever meeting between Rich Swann and Eddie Edwards. So I have to say, Rich Swann attacked Eddie Edwards before the start of the match. I mean, can you blame him though? Can you blame him? I don't blame him at all. But I have to say, I like how at one point there's like a super kick. There's back and forth super kicks between both men. And both men go down. Then Eddie hits Rich Swann with the modified Blue Thunder Bomb. Rich Swann gives Eddie Edwards 2 cutters, but it's not enough because Eddie Edwards still kicks out. But at the end, Eddie Edwards hits Rich Swann with the Boston Knee Party and then the Die Hard Driver in the middle of the ring, which allows him to pick up the victory. And then that pretty much ends the night. So overall, it's a pretty great, fantastic episode of Impact Wrestling. There's not one thing I disliked about it. Really great show, top to bottom. I will say that much right now. And people, I say this every week, and I'll keep saying it. People got to stop sleeping on Impact Wrestling. They really do. I don't know how much more do I have to keep seeing, or what's it going to take for you guys to start watching Impact. But great show. Great show, top to bottom. At least I think so. We got some new storylines kind of filming between Josh and Eddie, and the Bullet Club and the Motor City Machine Guns. That should be great. I cannot wait for that. I also cannot wait for Rhino versus Steve Maclin next week. So, but with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching and for your continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell so you can notify whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow after AEW Rampage. Bye.